And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Sports. My name is Mustab, and I hope you're in good spirits. Seriously, the first big football thing has happened, aka the draft. And like any other year, I'm sure there were a lot of emotions involved. As the round went on, the feelings got stronger. Before I start sharing with you all my feelings, I want to give a warm welcome to my fellow co-captains on the SS RBLR. On my left, repping the alternate Logan Hall jersey, we got Carter in the house. What's up, man?
Man, same old, just another day, another dollar. Definitely hype coming off that NFL draft, seeing some new faces for the Bucs. It'll definitely be interesting to see how they develop, and excited to get this cracking.
Absolutely, dude. I am looking forward to it, but can't forget about the gentleman on my right, flexing the guns with the TB12 tank top. Santiago, how we doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good. What's up, Musab? What's up, Carter? How you doing, RBLR Nation? Good to be back after last week. I wasn't here, but saw the draft. Definitely excited about adding some more new players to our already awesome and Super Bowl caliber roster. So just putting a little bit of that grain of salt, you know what I mean? So definitely can't wait to start reviewing these new players. Awesomeness. Let's do this. Let's go, Bucs.
Hell yeah, Santiago. I am so happy back as well. And listeners, I'm glad you're back with us. And before we get started, however you're listening to this, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, it don't matter. If you could just do us a favor, and however you're listening to this, follow button, like button, subscribe button. All right, it would seriously mean a lot to us here at RBLR. But hey, also a little reminder: we are on social media platforms at RBLR Sports. Well, let's just get right into it, gentlemen. So a little interesting start. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I stayed up all night, waiting for that first round pick. And then, obviously when it was our time, we all came to find out that we traded up with Jacksonville. So no first round. We traded our number 27th pick to Jacksonville for number 33, 104, and 180. So, listen, the way I see it, we'll get some solid worst case scenario. All right, that's just the worst case scenario. But so we transition on, interesting day one just because there wasn't nothing for us. But round two, pick number 33, ladies and gentlemen, Logan Hall, defensive lineman from Houston. Carter, your overall thoughts? I know you. Well, actually, before I even get started, before I even ask you how you feel, I want to give you a congratulations because I do remember now that you had this guy on your list. So I want to give you a big shout out for getting that correct and explain to me why this guy fits well / overall feelings.
Yeah, I mean, the way I described him, I remember in our little initial conversation about this draft was I kind of described him as a DeForest Buckner kind of guy because he just got so much size at 6'6", 6'7". And I'm sticking to it. I think the Bucs did a great job of scouting. They've clearly got a prototype, when it comes to players that they want to draft on the defensive line or the defensive front seven. Devin White. It started really with Devin White and Vita Vea. They're both athletic monsters that they just said, these guys are way too just gifted athletically not to be good. And I think that they saw that with JTS last year, and I think they saw that with Logan Hall this year. This guy's just a ridiculous athlete. He's got an amazing amount of size, quickness, explosiveness. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this pick. If I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it a B+, just because as much as I love Logan Hall, as much as I love this pick, I also hate the fact – I don't hate the fact. I love the fact they traded back because I think you can take advantage of a lot of greedy teams that see a player they want and take that player and overpay for it. But, man, they passed on Devin White. Devin White was right there for the taking. I mean, the Packers snagged him with the very next pick at 28, and that was tough to see. I thought that the Bucs could have maybe snagged him because obviously every guy off of that Georgia defensive team this past season is just going to be a ridiculous player. So I don't know. That could come back to bite him, but I certainly hope not, and I certainly hope that Logan Hall turns out to be a great player, and I think he will. But yeah, I like the pick. A- for sure. It's definitely a solid pick.
I'm happy with it as well. Like I said, last week it was either going to be, 1-2 defensive lineman, offensive lineman, or it was going to be the other way. And this guy was a beast. I did also have Devin White in mind. But hey, I'll take this. Heard a lot of good things. And I mean, listen, the guy, he's our first kind of pick this year. So I'm hoping, everything works well. But Santiago, yeah, I want to hear what you got to say. How do you feel about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, and overall, like when the bright lights were hitting up Vegas, we're shining on Vegas, and that stage was just bright red when the first pick came up, and the Bucs, the pick is in, and everything, just excited in general, and I'm happy, with this pick as well, with Logan Hall. He, there's a reason why we got him. The Bucs definitely saw, a lot in him, through the whole process of the combine and everything. So we got a good football player, man. We definitely do. And with him, I will give this an A plus. I'll definitely give it an A plus. So yeah, with Devin White, he's a tremendous athlete as well. But other than that, I'm sticking with what our leadership has done. So we're moving to go to a Super Bowl. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no. I mean, my kind of philosophy, I guess, or what I kind of learned in this draft was this. Listen, we got to fill in the holes wherever we can, and obviously this was a hole for sure. I gotta say, I'm gonna give this a B plus just because, one of those most exciting picks, especially because it was our first one, but I see it as sensible. I really do. Listen, you want to have a guy who kind of complements someone like Vita Vea. All right, this guy's a beast indeed. Obviously, he has more of that kind of quickness and speed and agility, which I think is awesome. And I'm gonna tell you this though, even when I was watching his tape and even when they were showing the highlights when they got him, this guy was getting doubled down at Houston. So I'm hoping that, well, listen, if the chemistry works out with the D line, someone like him can, actually wreak havoc. All right. And that's kind of how it is. He's a game changer for sure if everything goes well. Long-term solution. This was definitely one of the big holes that we had to fill on our roster. All right. Even if we do kind of, get Sue back, Hall is a long-term solution for our team, especially in that defensive tackle problem. He's a 3-down rusher who can influence the point of attack. And overall, again, I just said, wreak havoc. That's all I really want to see is, cause some disruption. And he's just going to get better and better. That's all I really have to say. So that's why I give him a B plus. I'm not going to say, oh my God, this was amazing, just because at the end of the day, I really want to see what, how he kind of fits in to our team. But I got a lot of high hopes for him indeed, for sure. So that being said, we are going to stay in round 2, and we are now going to talk about our pick number 57. Luke, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Godicke, offensive lineman from Central Michigan. Carter, I want to start with you again. What overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I know Santiago had mentioned his teammate out of Central Michigan. The tackle out of Central Michigan, Bernard Raymond. And I thought he was going to go in the first round or maybe the early second for sure. But this guy went first in the second round, LG, and yeah, I mean, surprise. It's kind of funny because his initials match the position he's going to play. I found that kind of interesting, but they're excited about him, and the Bucs have a pretty solid history of making the right picks, especially when it comes to interior offensive linemen and all that stuff. So they got Ali Marpet. They signed Ryan Jensen. They drafted Alex Cappa, who's a pretty He's a pretty solid interior offensive lineman for his time with the Bucs, and yeah, I mean, I'm hoping they hit this one out of the park too. If I had to give this one a grade, I'd give this one a B+ as well. I mean, just a really, ho hum pick, not really anything to write home about, but also definitely not messing it up. So, could have done a lot worse for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I got to ask you, Carter. I mean, overall, I have to say that nothing was ho hum. Kind of like the way you put that, and for that reason, I kind of want to know maybe we made quite the number of moves during the offseason prior to this draft, and I guess I kind of want to ask you is, do you think these kind of picks are also the future has a lot of influence? Do you know what I'm saying? Not this upcoming year, but I mean the years all after that. Do you think that was kind of a big influence? Saying, hey, listen, we got some old guys, or is this listen, we got some emergency holes we got to fill. We need depth. Where's your head at?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're drafting someone, you're always drafting for the future for sure. Well, I don't want to say always, but you're usually drafting for the future. And I think this pick is definitely an example of that. Because, they've got Shaq Mason over there at right guard right now, but he's not really a long-term answer. He's definitely a tremendous player, but I don't know if he sticks around very long, just because he's such a good player that he's going to get paid, and I don't know if the Bucs can afford that with their salary cap situation. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a move for the future. Hopefully he's going to be around for a while. Who knows? The free agency is still going on. Maybe they see an interior offensive lineman out there that they want to trade for. Maybe they see someone that they want to sign and let this guy kind of sit for a year. Who knows? So far, the vibes that we've been getting from the Bucs is that they expect him to start day one. They expect him to just plug and play kind of thing. So, we'll see how it goes. This was a draft that was more deep and more well-balanced than it was top-heavy. So, hopefully this is an example of a guy in the second round that is really just a dependable starter. Maybe not an all-pro or anything, but, that's all you can really hope for with these kind of picks.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just like, we have to protect Tom Brady at all costs. Santiago, here's a kind of current, offensive lineman roster. We got Ryan Jensen at center, Tristan Wirfs, tackle, Donovan Smith tackle, Josh Wells, Robert Hainsey. We got Shaq Mason, Stinney, Johnson, and the Godeke. We just got all at guard. We're looking pretty solid right now. But I want to know, what's your kind of overall draft grade for this kind of pick, and then, where do you see this guy kind of fitting in, and how well do you see this guy fitting in, especially being our second pick overall?
Yeah, well, as a second pick overall, from looking here at at what the Bucs are saying, like he's a really smart kid who loves football. He fits what we've been talking about as a Buccaneer. That's off of the Buccaneers' personal website. And he's a small town Wisconsin kid. Who and that's something that's important, somebody that loves the game of football. So, we had a hole that we have to, attend to when we lost Ali Marpet, so, of course, Alex Kappa, definitely a player that we lost to the Cincinnati Bengals who went to the Super Bowl last year. So, he's definitely going to have competition for his position, but, it's another player that, with the grade that I'm going to give him right now, I'll put him at a B+.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page, because I'm also giving him a B, probably just a flat B. And I have to say though, as of right now, from last year, I mean, nothing really meaningful from people like Kyle Trask, a little bit of Jalen Darden, but nothing again from C as well. So, I like this guy the more I kind of look into it, just because, Jason Light's history as well with kind of, finding these kind of small school interior linemen is also rather interesting. And I'm hoping everything kind of works out well. Overall, again, I think for our team so far, as we're going through these picks, I have to say, I mean, none of these are very kind of exciting or, firing anyone up. But, a few years down the road, I feel like, these are the kind of people you're hoping are going to be coming through overall. Yes, we got to protect Brady, but you're going to be on our team for a while, hopefully. So that's all I kind of want to see is, our team is loaded now in the depth, kind of position. Obviously, the more the merrier, but we also want to make sure the guys are the best. And this is kind of what it is. There's a few positions that I feel like we all saw that were our biggest flaws, defensive backs, and even something like this with our offensive linemen. And I'm glad we're filling this hole ASAP. Again, it was either 1-2 defensive offensive linemen or either 2-1. So this is how it kind of worked out, and I'm happy with it. And that's why I give it a B. All right, well, that is the end of round 2, gentlemen. We are now transitioning on to round 3. We got Rachaad White, running back from Arizona State. Carter, what are your overall thoughts?
When I give out these grades, I think it's important to emphasize that these grades are more about the team and the pick and the fit and less about the player, because Rachaad White could absolutely turn out to be a fantastic player. And I really hope that that's the case. He seems like a good kid, seems like a good dude. He's got, a lot of talent for sure. Like, he's an incredibly explosive athlete, stands at 6 feet tall. He's a great pass catcher for a college running back. So, there's some upside here. It's not that this pick was wasted or anything, but man, I got to give it a C- because there were just so many other ways they could have gone with this pick. Plus, a lot of teams had a lot of people were mocking this guy as a fifth rounder. So to spend a third round pick on a guy like this it's just difficult for me to grasp. If they would have spent a fourth round or a fifth round pick on this guy, hey, I get it. The Bucs only have 3 running backs in the running back room right now. I don't really count Ken John Barner. No offense to him, but so yeah, I just they really needed corners. They really needed corners, and we'll cover Zion Mccullum later on, and he's tremendous get. But if they would have paired Zion McCullum with another guy like I know we discussed Jalen Armour Davis. I know that was your pick, Musab, and I think that would have been a perfect fit. If they could have gotten him and Zion McCullum, oh man, they would have been set. That's 5 young cornerbacks that they can depend on. But you got to give Tom Brady weapons. You got to give him people to depend on, and maybe their confidence in Gio Bernard after this past season, where he got hurt a little bit, got banged up a little bit, wasn't nearly as productive as maybe they'd hoped. Losing Ronald Jones, so maybe they see this as a necessary thing. Maybe they just, I don't know, but I just did not like it personally. That's just how I feel about it. I really hope he proves me wrong. No one will be happier than me. Because like I said, seems like a good dude, but we'll definitely see how it pans out.
Well, I guess also, Carter, with Rojo gone, and then, as what you just brought up with Bernard, maybe I guess they were thinking, at least we got to supply some more offensive weapons, someone to kind of back up, Leonard Fournette. So that's kind of the way I see it. But I have to say, though, I do see it as a little too early. But Carter, do you think differently, or where's your head at with this kind of pick?
I was definitely too early, man. Yeah, you nailed it on the head. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm a huge, like, you look at successful teams and they don't typically spend very high draft picks on running backs. Not that the third round is a super high draft pick to spend on a running back, but it's just, I don't know. The Bucs did this last year with Kyle Trask. The Kyle Trask pick made me have this same kind of reaction, like, ugh, man, it's just, they didn't learn. They went through all these secondary injuries, and they were like, oh, let's, time to draft a running back in the third round. It's like, man, I don't know. I'd hate to have to see them depend on the D Delaney's or the Pierre Desires of the world. No offense to those guys again, but those are not starting caliber corners. Those are not going to win you very many games. They're not going to be dependable guys. So I was just hoping that they would learn from the mistakes of last year, but got to trust the front office. Jason Light clearly knows what he's doing, and I don't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be doing what I do for a living. I'd be up in the front office with them. So, they know best. So we'll hope. I hope that remains the case.
I see where your head's at, and I guess Carter, I will say next time I play some football with my buddies or whatever, and any of them who perform rather mediocre or a little bad, I'll be like, "Oh, bro, you're such a peer to see here." No, but hey, no, but hey, in all seriousness, though, yeah, I mean, I don't know, yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. Listen, the way I was kind of sticking, Carter and Santiago, I was kind of sticking with our priorities as we were, in the past episodes. We were starting with offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and defensive backs, and then running backs, wide receivers after that. So yeah, it was a little bit surprising to me. But Santiago, where's your head at with this kind of pick?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with both of you. That when we were talking about players that or needs that we have that we need on the team. We had a lot of injuries last year, so I agree. If another great cornerback or somebody in the secondary to help out, it would have been better. So again, I have to agree with Carter at the end. Jason Light he's getting paid all that money to help us bring another championship. So, let's hope that definitely this pick can be a home run, and I'm going to give it I'll give it a C plus, for this pick, just because it's a bit early. It was a little bit early. You're right, because we had we had fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round. We had all that time to go and select that running back. There are pretty good running backs that people, teams just leave off. They're like, oh, you just really you get surprised on certain players. That I'm down with this. I'm down with.
So you don't think this was like a now or never kind of situation,
so
right?
I'm down with this pick right now. I am down with it because we're all Bucs fans. So it's just like, the most important thing is to put the perfect, get all the players that we need to fight for a championship. So hopefully he can help Leonard Fournette, in the backfield, being a good pass catcher and a third down back. A third down back. So, he can help us gain some yards.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see how the roles work out in regards to people like Bernard Vaughn and even this guy, all behind Leonard Fournette. So it's interesting. My grade, and I say this with optimism, I'm going to give him a B minus. I know I just asked you right now, Santiago, was it now or never? I see, the only reason for a pick like this to happen a little bit earlier than usual is because of that. It's kind of just the now or never. Maybe, this is also maybe something the office was wanting to prioritize. Perhaps they don't listen to RBLR and they didn't think that defensive backs was the third on the priority list, but that's okay. Clearly, they know what they're doing. Obviously, they're in the office, as you said, Carter, and we're not. But hey, listen, my gut reaction, though, when it did happen, I was like, you know what? Okay, this was kind of like a C, like a C pick. Perhaps it was a risk hoping to pay off just because, with Rojo gone, maybe this is like a Rojo replacement. There's a large running back. The guy stands at 6 feet. And overall, people see him as a kind of really good on the kind of, passes as well. And listen, one kind of, Leonard Fournette injury, he gets banged up, game or two or something like that. This guy's value is going to be, rising, game by game, even minute by minute or something. So we'll be counting on him for sure. Him this early, I have to say, then I have more expectations than I would if, he were to be picked in the fifth. An interesting one for sure, but, the stats make up for it. He has the potential, and it all just comes down to, how he really want to perform, how he wants to perform / how he kind of fits in with the rest of the league. But we're going to transition on to our round 4. I feel like now it kind of becomes like, oh, okay, let's see what we're kind of working with, just because, Round 1, 2, and 3 is like, okay, let's kind of, focus on the main priorities, top 3 priorities. But now it kind of gets a little bit interesting. And I thought this was a little bit interesting just because we got Cade Otton, tight end from the University of Washington. I'm going to start out with you, actually. Santiago, when you found out about this pick, this was actually from Jacksonville as well, listeners. So, again, overall, a lot of, moves going in and out with all these kind of teams with these trades. But, yeah, so we got this from Jacksonville, by the way. And, Santiago, how do you feel about this?
Well, we as here as Bucs fans, we're definitely waiting for the news about Rob Gronkowski to see if he's going to come back. The right hand man of Tom Brady. So, but definitely whether he comes back or not, we had to address this position. So, definitely Cade Otton from tight end from Washington is he's a pretty good player. Let's see here. It says here that, analyzing, some notes, it says here that he has the tools and attitude to excel as a blocker, but can also handle the two-way demands of a difficult position. So, that would be a great weapon. He's young as well. He can definitely, be an asset for Tom Brady, and, so I'm happy with this pick. I'll give this a B. I'll give this a B plus. With this pick here, because I do want to see Rob back. And because of his veteran presence. So also, but and he can learn under Rob Gronkowski. I'm still thinking Rob is still going to come back though, but.
Yeah, Santiago, I was just gonna actually just say that, which was, as you just mentioned with the veteranship, I was just gonna the mic to you as well, which is, my head and my question is, isn't this kind of time to draft a young guy? I mean, look, Gronkowski, Brady, they're kind of on the older side, so perhaps this was time to kind of get tight end room. So, Santiago, do you think that's true or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great to specifically with this position here, Musab and Carter. When we have a tight end position that can be, for example, how would I say this? We need some fresh legs in there, to be honest with you. So, I mean, like I said before, I would love to have Rob Gronkowski back, but we definitely have to look towards the future. And, obviously with I definitely don't want Tom Brady to retire anytime soon, right? But, with this position here, Otton, from what I see here, he was a first team All-American, All Pac-12 honors in 2020. After leading the team with 18 catches for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he also had 32 catch campaigns.
So he's got a high ceiling
as a sophomore in 2019. So, he was a top player in his college days. So, when he played in Washington. So, we definitely, and also, the only thing that happened recently, during COVID, it says here that Otton missed time due to COVID protocols and a left foot injury, but was able to haul 28 passes for 250 yards and 1 score. He's just another reliable target. So we need reliable targets. We definitely do. So I'm excited. I'm happy for this. I'm happy for this pick.
I think reliable, and also I guess the fact that he's young talent as well. So I mean, yeah, that's my belief. As I think it was time to finally get a young guy. But I guess I want to know, Carter, was this the right round? Maybe were you expecting this to be a little bit later, or what are your overall thoughts?
No, I think the timing of this pick was pretty appropriate. I had the Bucs picking a tight end in the 4th round pretty much throughout the pre-draft process. I thought it was a good slot for them to kind of just settle down and pick a replacement because they lost O.J. Howard to the Buffalo Bills, and teams don't typically run just 2 tight ends in their roster, especially not the Bucs. They like to have at least 3 tight ends on their roster, and rightfully so, with Gronk's injury history, unfortunately, and his age, if he does come back. I was a little sad that they didn't pick my boy Isaiah Likely, but, Cade Otton's a dependable guy. He's not – I don't know if I see him as a super high ceiling guy. I think he's more of a safer choice, just a guy that, if you need in a pinch, if you need a guy to go run some routes and block, he can definitely do that. He's a very capable blocker. And, the Bucs love to run those 6 offensive lineman sets with Josh Wells as the 6th. They always announce that he's the eligible wide receiver. And it's just kind of, maybe this will be kind of their replacement for that. Maybe instead of running those sets, they'll start to run him out there as kind of a blocking kind of guy. And he's 6'5". He's a decent blocker on the edge. He can actually, he seems to have a decent enough time blocking edge threats, which is something that's kind of rare for tight ends. They typically are more chippy guys, especially modern day tight ends who are so focused on, the receiving aspect of it. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not like ecstatic about the pick, but I'll give it a solid B. It's just, not really high risk, but not really high reward either.
Yeah, I'll just for me it was like, listen, I'll take this. I guess this was the time to snag a tight end. For me, I was like, okay, maybe it could have been a little bit later, but I like it. I like it a lot just because, the first thing I noticed was the guys from University of Washington, which is like what? How many guys have we already got from before? We got JTS, Vita Vea, even Austin Seferian. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess we got a little special love for University of Washington. But in all seriousness, no. Look, big body. All right, and I'll take it just because we got to fill in all the holes possible. As I already mentioned, with y'all before, in regards to Gronk, this role who's cheaper and younger. So I got a lot of optimism for this. I'm just gonna give it a B minus. I want to see how it kind of works out. As you said, Carter, I mean, sure, he has the skills and all that, but nothing super special, really, the way I see it. That's why I'm just like, all right, you know what? I like this. He's got a high ceiling for sure. I think this was kind of a risk, but hopefully it does pay. About it, though, the main purpose of this draft, gentlemen, was the way I see it, was to fill the holes. All right, no flashy picks, nothing too much or trying to do anything, too crazy. We got 2 linemen, on each side of the field. Running back, if he's good all around the back, to help out Lenny and Bernard. And again, the whole Gronk thing is kind of a mystery right now, so we'll see how that kind of plays into this equation. But that's about it, though. Overall, I'll take it just because the vibe, pick by pick when I was kind of following this draft was just say, all right, listen, we're trying to play smart. We're trying to fill the holes. And this is more of kind of a futuristic kind of draft. We're looking to really kind of plan ahead for the rest of the next 5-10 years or so. It's not really just about the now. Well, it is as well, but we're also looking at the future. And we'll see how that kind of turns out. Surely it's been a roller coaster already this offseason and even with this draft. So I have to say, though, we're about to go a little bit downhill, Carter. I know you know why I say that, because I'm going to pass the mic on to you. And that's because I want to know your feelings in regards to our round 4 pick 133, Mr. Jake Camarda, punter. That's right, listeners, punter from the University of Georgia. Carter, it's all yours.
Let me start off by saying, Jake Camarda, if you are listening to this, first of all, please like and subscribe this channel. But second of all, please just don't take this personally. But God, I hated this pick. I absolutely despise this pick. When this pick popped up, I just it was one of those times where you just laugh because something's just so ridiculous. Oh God. I mean, picking a running back in the 3rd round, that's at least conceivable. I can at least wrap my head around that idea. There have been plenty of tremendous running backs in the 3rd round, but a punter in the 4th round. I mean, they drafted a punter before they drafted a corner. Like, oh God, it made me, it made me nauseous. It was a tough thing to see, but and especially from the Bucs. You'd think they would have learned from the Roberto Aguayo fiasco, but alas, they did not. You know, they traded back with the Jaguars, and they got an additional 4th round pick, and they spent it on a tight end. I was like, oh, hey, perfect. All right, so things are going to plan. They're going to keep filling these holes in their depth roster or in their depth chart. You know, keep filling out the roster. But no, they decided in the 4th round, I'm going to pick a punter. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a D-. It was just, if they wanted to pick a punter in the 7th round, hey, more power to them. I understand the need to replace Bradley Pinion. The man is overpaid. He's incredibly expensive. I get it. They need to clear cap space. I'm an advocate for it. But the 4th round is not the place to do that. Oh, God. There's just so many different routes they could have gone with this pick. And the route that they chose, I really hope he turns out to be the next, Johnny Hecker or whatever, but I see it in my mind's eye. This time next year, they're going to be like, oh, we've moved on from Jake Camarda. It's going to be just like Roberto Aguayo, and then they'll repeat the process 2 years from now. They'll draft another kicker or something. It's just, oh God, Jason Light. He can be incredibly infuriating sometimes. You got to take the good and the bad, I guess. But that's my rant. I'm done. I'll let y'all talk. I'm sorry, but it was just a very frustrating pick to watch for sure.
It has been nothing but a pleasure to attend your round 4 TED Talk, Carter. But in all seriousness, though, I gotta say, I have the same kind of feelings as to why this pick so early. I was not happy with Pinion. But then again, that does not mean we should get someone this early. When the guy comes from a championship team, I don't know, maybe that's why they wanted to kind of snag him early. They see a lot of potential in him. But I guess who also had a lot of potential, gentlemen? Yeah, Roberto Aguayo, as you mentioned, Carter. But, before I actually get on my soapbox, Carter, Santiago, where's your head at? Do you kind of feel the same way? Because, listen, Carter and I are like, okay, yeah, listen, we want to replace, or, we're looking to kind of do something with Pinion and maybe get a replacement, et cetera, et cetera. But was this the right time to do so?
You know what, gentlemen? I have to agree with both of you because we did a lot of, analyzing different positions that we were, that are, we needed on the team. And we never, ever, ever brought up punter. You know what I mean? Okay. Okay, you're right. Pinion getting paid probably too much money, but yeah, we could have gotten, that we could have, had that need taken care of like in the 6th round, maybe the 7th round, but you're right. I mean, maybe they saw the University of Georgia, and guess what? The University of Georgia made a record this draft because they were the university with the most picks, So you're right. I agree with what Musa said. I agree with what Carter was just saying, and about that could be very frustrating because of how many injuries we had, and definitely, we definitely don't want to wish nothing like Roberto Aguayo was like a wasted pick, and sorry, he came from University of FSU, but it was really frustrating because in college they did great, but in the NFL they choked. So it's like I'm just saying he choked. So I mean,
special teams. Special teams is a rather very important role.
It is. It's Absolutely. A very important role.
And I want to say, listen, your special teams can be solid, and I mean, I think. Oh yeah, and I think we did okay. I mean, I wasn't like, oh my God, our special teams did completely horrible, or they were like, oh, they were completely amazing. But I have to say, someone like Bradley Pinion was definitely a key player in our special teams situation, of course, just because he was the punter. And I don't know, I just did not enjoy him kind of shanking and us in field position. I have to say, as unhappy as I am that we got this so early, I kind of understand, and I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate as well. A punter was, I think it was a need. Whether it be fourth round, I don't know if that was correct, but it was, for me, this was the definition of now or never. Maybe that's kind of where the office's head was at. And I'm assuming that there was a few brains involved in picking this rather than just one or two. If you want to look for the bright side, as I already mentioned, it comes from a championship team, so he already knows about all that pressure and everything. But I mean, again, the more I think about it, Roberto Aguayo did amazing, and I don't want to keep on mentioning this, but that's the last time I say that. But I want to say Bradley Pinion. There was the example that comes from the top of my head is that when we played the Falcons, you would just kick it straight to Cordell Patterson. Fortunately, we were able to stop him, but it's just like, I don't know, you look at the stats, and Pinion's seen as like one of the worst punters this last year overall in net yards. And wasn't even good on the kind of kickoffs as we were even expecting as well. So I don't know. I guess maybe this was kind of time for it. And for that reason, I'm just going to give it a C only because it was early. If this was kind of maybe like a 6th round pick and, we were able to still get a guy like him, from a championship team, I'll be like, all right, I'll give it a B just because I was like, okay, punter. I'm not going to give it an A just because I don't know how amazing a punter can transition onto the NFL / how they can be for the rest of their lives. But that's really about it, though. Those are my overall feelings. Is just that I kind of want to stay in good spirits. I understand maybe why we got him, but I don't know why we got him so early. But in the end, we'll just see how it works out. And I don't know. That's kind of just really all I have to say is just I just want to stay optimistic. But I would not be surprised, Carter, as you said, if something happens and falls off the radar. We got to make other moves. And I don't know.
I'll give my. I didn't give my grade. I didn't give my grade.
What were you about to say, Santiago?
I'm sorry for Musab.
What was your grade?
I didn't give my grade out. You gave your grade. Carter gave his grade. Carter gave it a D-. You gave it a C, right? I'll give it a C. You know why? You know why I'll give it a C? And I can't go down to D+ or anything? Because he comes from a championship program. He comes from the University of Georgia. So just because of that, I'll give it a C. Because of, hopefully he can do some magic with that foot and then not give it to the best, problematic player that will give us a problem, to try to run it back. Let's see if he can make that, make the football twirl or something like that. I don't know, do something weird, do some magic or something. That's definitely to cause problems for the other team,
Perhaps Carter and Santiago, maybe 25 years from now, our kids will be watching with us the documentary Jay Camarda, from one championship team to another. I don't know. Maybe that's how it'll work out. But speaking of grades, all we've been talking about is B, C. Even Carter threw a little D in there. But if you want some A+ threads, all right, summer's coming around the corner. Whether you're in school or not, it's time to, flex the tank top, wear a nice little shirt when you're at the beach or whatever. And let me tell you something. We got this website called shop.rblrsports.com. And listeners, as you already know, liking and subscribing is free. All right. But if you need some new and sick, some sexy threads, you can head on over to shop.rblrsports.com and check out all the designs we got cooked up for you. All right. We got shirts in the colors of our beloved teams, the designs honoring not just the football team, but we got the hockey team, the soccer team, and the baseball team. And I'm not done because what is, shop.rblrsports.com without me blessing you with a little promo code for our listeners right now? That is Cannons, CANNONS, for 10% off your order. There's a link right in the description, ladies and gentlemen. So already get some new threads out there. Support the podcast. We really do appreciate y'all. Seriously. Now we shall transition on to round 5, Carter and Santiago. I have to say, as we kind of get on to the later rounds, I always feel like everyone, we all got different feelings because now it's like, all right, what's left? Well, fortunately, my thought was, oh, well, what's left? Duh, I'm looking for a cornerback. Where's the defensive back he's at? You know what I'm saying? And Carter, I know you were looking at that as well. We got Zion McCullum. Pelican fans get confused. This is a football player. We got Zion McCullum, cornerback from Sam Houston State. Right, kind of a small school. So maybe perhaps a hidden gem or not. I don't know, Carter. Is he a hidden gem or not? / what are your overall thoughts?
Oh man, as bad as the Camarda, as bad as the White pick were, or as both of those picks, as bad as they were, I think this pick almost made up for both of them. I love this pick. I mean, I'm biased. I'm one of those weird, stupid Pelicans fans that you were talking about that might be getting confused. But he's 6'2", and he had a ridiculous 4.3 40 time and the 6.483 cone. I mean, at 6'2", like that shouldn't be a thing. That shouldn't be a thing. That shouldn't be possible. So, he went to an FCS school. It's not a big program, so obviously the comp isn't there, and his skills are a little unrefined. Like, he's not Jalen Ramsey. He is certainly not at this point in his career, but who knows? I think in the 5th round, you want to draft on upside because a lot of these guys, well, not a lot, but some of these guys might not be making the roster. They might be practice squad guys. They might be special teams guys. So it's pretty much you're either drafting for upside or you're drafting for special teams. And so they drafted for upside. And, I think they did a great job of identifying a talent that, could use some refinement. But luckily, they do have 3 starting corners. As much as I emphasize the need to draft more corners for depth, they have a big 3, and maybe they'll sign someone in free agency to fill it out. But, yeah, I mean, I loved this pick. I'm going to give it an A because this guy seems like he is just going to be – I mean, it's a really high reward, low risk kind of pick because it came so late in the 5th round. So I don't know. I really like this pick. He could be a real impact player for years to come. And I'm excited to see what he does for sure.
Yeah, when I first found out about this pick, Carter, I was like, okay. Just because my first thoughts were, oh, all right, rather interesting for us to find someone from Sam Houston State. But, as time went on, I was realizing, maybe this guy was kind of a steal. But Santiago, where was your kind of head at with this? Because this was obviously, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I was not too well aware of Sam Houston State's football program at all. And I was like, okay, more than anything, I was like, as soon as I saw cornerback, I was like, yay. That was my first record was yay. Oh my God, finally we got a defensive back. But, when you found out that Zion McCullum was our guy, Santiago, how did you feel?
Well, I mean, this was definitely one of when we were, analyzing the needs that we needed on our team, we definitely needed cornerbacks or, safeties. And, I'm happy that we, it's never too late, right? That's what they always say. It's never too late. But, I mean, I'm happy. I'm going to give this a A+. Even though he comes from a small school, he's big, man. He's a big dude. He's a big player. And, maybe he can be that diamond in the rough, I don't know. He could be possibly a Hall of Fame player, with the right guidance, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he doesn't come from a top SEC or Big Ten school, right? But, if he works hard, if he ends up obviously, working hard in the OTAs and, showing up to practice with the right attitude, I could definitely, hopefully he's, he can shine from day one, from week one. And then, will help us, and I'll repeat myself again, we're here to put that grain of salt, to go win a championship. So I'm definitely happy. He has, even though he went to a small school, his numbers in college, and he's fast, right? Like what Carter just said, 4.33 seconds in the 40-yard dash. Like if I tried to run that, like I'd probably be out of breath. I don't know where my legs would be. Like I wouldn't have legs. Like I would have to have like a motor or something like that because that is very fast. He had 13 career interceptions.
Oh yeah, he's got wheels
You
for
know,
sure. Oh
like
yeah.
and then Todd Bowles. He it says here that head coach Todd Bowles favors in his defense, this type of speed and size. So, definitely. And I'm excited that Todd Bowles is, yeah, I didn't want to see Bruce Arians go, but, I'm glad that Todd Bowles is now given the opportunity to not just go to another team and be a head coach. I'm glad that he's staying here in Tampa Bay and leading our Buccaneers to a Super Bowl. Or on with the players that he's getting. I'm happy
Absolutely.
that he stayed with us. Because obviously there was
Oh
so
yeah.
many conversations and interview rumors that who is Todd Bowles going to go to? Is he going to go to Jacksonville? Is he going to go to Chicago? Nope. He's staying in Tampa Bay. He's staying in our neck of the woods.
Yeah. No,
So I'm glad. I'm very happy for that.
Fortunately, he was able to stay. The Buccaneers organization. Oh yeah. Fortunately, he was able to stay. The Buccaneers organization, aka Bruce Arians. He gave him the keys, and I have to say, of all the picks in this draft, I have to say this was the most kind of Todd Bowles-esque kind of pick. And this one's going to be that one that kind of trick up your sleeve kind of pick. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of upside for this guy. All right. As we've already been talking about, gentlemen, crazy how this guy is super agile and super fast for someone who is 6'2". All right. Yeah, Carter, I can't believe they took a punter over him, but I like this pick. I'm right there with y'all, gentlemen. I'm going to give it just a B- just because, it's round 5, pick 157. I don't want to say, oh, my God, this guy already has for sure, a tremendous upside. But you can't complain about getting this kind of athlete in the middle of the 5th round. All right. Surely athleticism isn't everything, guys. But, of course, more than anything, it's worth kind of taking a guy who seems like he can have a really high ceiling. All right, especially it's like a day 3 pick. At this point, it's more like, okay, this guy is what I call a hidden gem or a potential hidden gem. Of all the people we've seen, I have to say this one's the hidden gem for sure, the diamond in the rough. He has it all, and the only thing I'm kind of thinking of is I just hope that the player development / coaching, everything kind of works out well for him with that, because if so, he's going to be more than anything a very solid, reliable depth piece. And I really look forward to this. Small school, I always root for those kind of small school dogs. And I'm very excited to see, him being on the roster. Hopefully he does make it and everything kind of works out well. And hopefully, more than anything, he's able to get some opportunities if, he starts balling out. Well, gentlemen, this leaves us to our last 2 picks. We got round 6, pick 218, tight end. I was like, all right, whoa, we just got a tight end, but all right. Tight end from Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kieft. Interesting name for sure. And I got to say, this guy has some special traits to him. This guy's a big dog. You know what I'm saying? Compared to K-Dot, I don't mean to call K-Dot small or anything, but this is what he's known for. He's a big dog. Reminds me of, I don't know, before I kind of dig deep into it, I mean, just imagine him and Wirfs together, kind of side by side, on one side of the line. These guys are going to be pushing defense like 15 yards back, which can, be very helpful. But Carter, where's your head at with this kind of pick?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, he is huge. 6'5", 265, just a very large human being. But he also ran almost a 5.40. Not super impressive, but I think this is a very much a special teams pick. A special teams kind of pick, just a guy to cover kickoffs, maybe, block on kickoff returns. And that's kind of what these later rounds are for. He seems like he's a really hard worker. He's gotten rave reviews about his attitude and his work ethic. and maybe he develops into a serviceable backup tight end. But even if he just stays in this role that I think he's going to be given, just as a special team specialist, I think he could have a very, very productive career in that role. Or he's a blocking tight end. He's a great blocker. Doesn't really do much in the passing game, but I don't know. I mean, it is a little odd to draft 2 tight ends in one draft for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a practice squad guy, or maybe he doesn't make the roster. Some of these later round guys sometimes don't. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the pick. I'm going to give it a B plus. Just a good special teams guy. Really smart pick. Nothing too sexy or anything. At least they didn't draft a kicker. Drafting a kicker and a punter in the same draft, I think my head would have exploded. But that's neither here nor there.
I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we got another tight end. So I'm just thinking, this guy is probably just going to have a certain role, probably special teams, or perhaps just helping out whenever he can, if he does, make the team and anything like that. But Santiago, kind of, where's your head at with this kind of pick? Just because this is the second tight end we got in this draft, and it's making me think, was this a need?
Well, I mean, honestly, I would have liked to see maybe possibly an offensive lineman, possibly, maybe a defensive lineman, because we definitely, we didn't really kind of address that in this, with possibly with the kicker that we got, and so definitely would have probably liked to see that, depending if Rob Gronkowski comes back. But if he's gonna do, maybe you're right, maybe he's a practice squad, maybe he'll do something on special teams, maybe he does a lot better than the first tight end that we drafted, right? And I don't know, maybe just shows more heart, just depends. Maybe he's the Rudy of the time. I don't know, but Rudy, but I don't know. It's I think it's just in case maybe there's an injury or something like that, possibly. I don't know. I'd probably give it like a C, this pick, because just a player to add, I guess. Maybe there wasn't anything really available during that time, for us to select another position, possibly.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see it. And Santiago, do you think this is maybe rather just say kind of yes or no kind of thing? And I think this is a possible yeah. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to lean yes. And that my question is, do you think that maybe this pick was chosen just because they're like, what, this guy's got something special in him? Perhaps we could create this kind of little battle between him and Cade Otton. Yes or no? What do you think?
Yes. Competition's healthy, man.
Yeah.
Competition's healthy.
For
He had all conference honors. Looking at, he comes from the University of Minnesota. So it's a bigger school than Sam Houston State. You know what I'm saying? So, he's definitely, even though it's obviously different. We're talking about tight end now from the previous player, that we just drafted. So from Zion Williamson, but, yeah, he has to prove himself. He has to prove himself even more because he's being drafted in the later round, and he has to really prove himself in the OTAs in practice. And because you're right, like what you were just, you and Carter were just saying, like if he really doesn't perform, he's gonna probably not be in the NFL. So he has to show up. Like put that Tom Brady
right
chip.
On. What
put that
about
Tom
you,
Brady
Carter?
chip in his mind.
Where's your head at with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just like I said before, just kind of a special teams pick. I don't really. He's not going to break the bank. He's not going to turn this team into a Super Bowl contender. They're already a Super Bowl contender, but that's not going to change or become more prevalent with this pick. But yeah, I mean, he's just a solid 6th round pick. Definitely not a huge amount of upside, but these late round picks are just kind of, they're gambles, but they're not really high stakes gambles. They're kind of just like taking a flyer on a guy. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, as you're thinking, or all I'm thinking is, it's like round 6, so this dude's probably just going to be seen heavily, in the kind of run game situations, obviously special teams as well. Uh, for the 6th round, that's like the best you're going to get for like the win now kind of value, especially if I'm Keith. So, I mean, think about this as well. The dude's like an extra offensive tackle out there, as already mentioned, just him and Wirfs, pushing the defense far back as much as they can. That's going to help in the run game for sure. He's a big dog, as already mentioned it. And I don't know, though, if tight end was the move, but I think, they maybe want to see a little battle out of it. Plus, as already mentioned, Gronk's a mystery, so we see how that kind of goes. But if things work out well and he's kind of a specific role player, I kind of see this maybe helping out Gronk. Just because, or any of the tight ends, just because they don't have to block every single down. I'm sure no one wants to be overused, and if we have like a depth piece like him, someone who's reliable for certain situations, I'm sure he can come through. So for that reason, I'm just gonna give this a C minus, just because I'm like, okay, whatever. It was, we traded 2 picks away for one guy. We sent the 235th, 235th and 261st picks to the Los Angeles Rams, by the way, listeners, and we got our Keith guy at 218. So that's just something to think about. Just a little heads up as well. Interesting pick. At this point, it's kind of late, so I feel like maybe, I don't know, the office was like, yeah, let's just have a little bit of not really fun with it, but let's just try to play maybe a little strategically. And as I've already mentioned this a million times, we're trying to play, the more kind of future game. We're looking for a solid, hole fillers, and I just got high hopes for this guy. That's really about it. Well, the finish line is basically here. This is our round 7, pick 100, 248. This is Mr. Andre Anthony, all right, edge from the Louisiana State University. Carter, overall thoughts? It's round 7. This is our last guy. We got the edge, Andre Anthony. Interesting kind of history for sure, but I want to hear your overall thoughts.
Yeah, he's a 7th round guy. It's gonna be a miracle if he makes the roster. I don't want to say a miracle, but he's got an uphill battle ahead of him. Luckily, he's comes from a pretty prestigious school. I mean, LSU produces a lot of talent. You look at Daniil Hunter from the Vikings as an edge rusher. I mean, they've been DBU for a very long time. A lot of quality receivers out there from LSU. Hopefully, Andre Anthony is the latest in a long line of talented players to come out of that school. He just wasn't very productive. There's not a lot to look at from his time there. And he was poised for a breakout year. He's super bendy off the edge. Like, he's got some nice moves. But he got hit with an injury in 2021. So any production that he could have put out, or any tape that he could have put out boosting his draft stock, just was lost, unfortunately. And you hate to see that. But hopefully he makes up for lost time. Hopefully maybe he took the year, got stronger, hit the weight room, started learning some new moves. You kind of root for a guy like this because he's kind of an underdog story, and hopefully he can make it, because the Bucs, you can't have enough edge rushers. I say that all the time. You can never have enough pass rushers. So they could certainly use them. Any team could use more edge rushers. So yeah, hopefully he works out. Maybe he'll just be a practice squad guy for a year, and maybe he bounces up to the roster next year. But yeah, we'll certainly see how it goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's round 7. Always hoping for the best. He had he produced a lot at LSU before the injuries, and obviously I feel like that's the only thing that's kind of put him down this far in these late rounds. But hey, he comes from linebacker university. I don't know. Listen, if this guy can put in the work, he can even make our team, the practice squad, work his way up. If if it works out well, then my kind of hope is, I just want, someone at this point to have, to provide, 4 to 5 years of solid special teams kind of work, maybe 2 to 3 years of minimum, like that mediocre rotational work on the D line. That's for me, that's what you call a win for a 7th rounder. So that's where my head's at. I'm going to give it, just because, it's round 7, pick 248. And we got this guy. I'm going to give it a B-. I want to stay optimistic. I really wish him all the best, and I want to give him potential, and I want to give him the opportunity, but we'll see how it works out. I don't know. There's only so much I can really say at this point, but Santiago, I'm going to pass on the mic to you. What are your thoughts on this guy? This is our last pick in the draft. Was this the right one?
Yeah, honestly, I would switch this, as rusher for, back for, what we picked as a kicker, right? But, because of the quality. The only really positive is that he comes from LSU, and LSU is a tremendous program. So, national championship program. You're right. I'm rooting for him as well. I would love for him to, at least make the practice team, and and learn, and work his tail off. And then if anything, if he really works his tail off, and he can be called up to our main roster, that would be awesome. If not, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. It also depends on him, on how much he believes in himself. So, but yeah, I'm overall, I will give this grade, I'll give it a B, because of the school he went to, and, obviously he's played around, NFL quality players, because, LSU produces a lot of talent. So, and obviously one of our greatest.
Yes, sir. We got my last year's Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Devin White from LSU. So I'm hoping that D White can just pass on the torch to him as well, and at least he can do something.
Yeah, exactly.
But I gotta say though, that was all of our picks, and it was definitely an interesting draft. Like every single other year, there's always those interesting picks for sure. I would probably say maybe last year's was Kyle Trask, and this one was Camarda, or the punter from University of Georgia. But hey, always got to just stay optimistic. The way I kind of see it, we've done plenty of moves. Honestly, it's just been such a fun off season. The way I kind of see it, it just got better and better. After the rather crappy loss against the Rams, there was all these talks and et cetera about all players, not just Brady, all players. And fortunately, we were able to kind of keep a lot of guys back, and that kind of gives me a good feeling that we're still in it to win it. But gentlemen, I'm going to give the mic to you first of all, Carter. Final thoughts overall on the draft. Maybe one guy you're looking forward to, / just how do you feel?
It could be a lot worse. The Bucs could be, the Carolina Panthers or the Atlanta Falcons. They're, like I said, it could be a lot worse. There are a lot worse situations to be in. There were teams that made a lot more questionable moves. The Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett 20th overall, and then we saw Malik Willis fall all the way to the 3rd round. So it made me think, boy, if Pittsburgh just passed up on Pickett, could they have maybe gotten him in the 3rd round too? So there are a lot of other teams that did a lot worse. I would probably give this grade, this draft an overall grade of a B- or a B. It was pretty good, but it's one of those drafts that's probably not going to blow anyone's minds, but that's okay. It didn't need to. We're the Bucs. We're looking at a team that could easily win a Super Bowl this year. So there's not a lot of holes in a roster like that. It's more just about planning for worst case scenarios. So I really think they did a decent enough job. Hopefully I'm underselling it. Hopefully they did a great job and all these picks hit, but we'll just have to see, as with every NFL draft for sure.
Amen to that, Carter. Santiago, what about you? Final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what Carter just said. Could it be worse? Could it be we be like the Carolina Panthers? St. Louis. Like the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to the Super Bowl. That's my main thought. We're in this red, this pewter, all this flag, and then supporting this flag, definitely going. I'm thinking that we're going to Super Bowl from the NFC. So, I trust in this leadership. So, let's go Bucs. And my overall grade, like I said before, is a B.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are giving those Bs, little B minuses out there. I think it was a solid draft for sure. And listeners, by all means, feel free to comment on any of our posts. Show us some feedback about what your thoughts were. We'd love to discuss those kind of things as well during these kind of podcast episodes. But most importantly, I cannot end this episode without thanking all of y'all. Seriously. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support this podcast, shop RBLR.sports.com, of course, by liking and subscribing by all means. But please share it with others. Post it on social media. Leave a rating and review as well. And again, a little friendly reminder to catch all the latest. You can follow us on Instagram at RBLR Sports. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And I really do hope you enjoy our deep dive into all things, this Buccaneers NFL draft. And more than anything, I just feel like this is just another reason for all of us, the whole Buccaneers fan organization, including the players in the office, everyone, the whole city of Tampa Bay to stay fired up. All right. Next week, we'll be kind of, digging deep into all kinds of things, with the rest of the offseason. We'll be talking about some other moves going on, a lot of, undrafted free agents as well, who we get, who we have to kind of let go. And then we'll be looking at also as well into OTAs and everything like that as well. Well, listeners, that's all I got for y'all. But stay fired up, as I always say. Seriously, stay fired up. It's going to be one fun year for sure. And more than anything, I just feel like no matter what, there's always something to look forward to. And, a lot of these guys are going to ball out for sure. I really do think so. They're all going to have a role maybe this year, but maybe a few of them, they really start shining their rookie year. I really do think so. So stay shining, stay fired up. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.